Welcome to video 2 of the solo training series from the Academy of Self-Defense. In our first video, we looked at the Hamni and the Hamni walk, which is a staple and a basic stance of any Aikido style and other styles as well. Today we're going to look at two other stances and a drill I'm going to show you that combines the Hamni walk with front stances and Jigotais as well. First of all, let's start very basic, the front stance, which obviously there's a lot of other arts that show the front stance or have the front stance. I'm not saying that we're the only ones that have the front stance. However, our take might be a little bit more tighter, if you will, where I know when I trained in Dang Sudo for many years, we had a very deep front stance. This was very, very deep in a lot of the Korean arts and other arts, I would imagine. Our front stance in Nihon Goshin is more shallow. So basically, as a rule of thumb, and this is what I tell beginners, is if you drew a line from your front foot, the front heel, and you step back, you want your toes either on that line or slightly behind it. I like mine slightly behind it. I like it just a tad deeper than up to the heel. That's where I feel more comfortable. Everyone's going to be a little different. And I allow that variance in my students even when they're testing. And I'm a firm believer of not holding so tight to a line where it doesn't allow the individual to do their best given their circumstances. It could be knee problems, hip problems, it could just be they're extra tall, extra short. I don't know what the circumstance might be, but there should never be a hard and fast rule in the martial arts. We should have a guideline, we should have a form and a structure that we're close to, but it should never be the same for everyone. So, that being said, shoulder width apart. Obviously the students are your shoulder width apart. And I like to think of my heels being kicked out just a little bit outside of my hip line. And that gives me a sense of better stability for the front stance. Okay? And once again, when we first learn these, I like to put hands on hips. That way they're not focused on where their hands are. And your front knee should be bent enough to where if my chest is straight up and down, I look down to my knee, I should just see the tip of my toes, okay? If I see too much of my foot, I'm not bent enough. If I don't see any of my foot, then I'm way over bent and I'm going to put a lot of stress and pressure on that knee. So I want to be just where I can see the tip of my toes. My back foot should be pointing forward like we're skiing. It shouldn't be pigeon-toed out or anything like that. It's a front stance, everything's going forward, okay? If I go to this position, same thing, my right foot is forward this time. That's what the front stance looks from there, and then from this position, right here, and then from this position, right here. What I'm doing here also, like in the Hamni, is a good idea for a good short training drill. You can start just walking the corners and shifting from front stance to front stance until you can do it at any angle and you're aligned. Okay, and I'm kind of giving you a glimpse of some of the footwork patterns I'm going to give you a little bit in this video. But with that front stance, those are the general rules for it. Now, when we show students the front stance, we typically show them the walking punch. Okay, the walking punch is a very traditional drill. Our system has Shotokan karate in it, and a lot of our classical strikes and stances, and what I'm about to show you comes straight from Shotokan. And again, other arts have this. It's not just Shotokan or Nihon Goshin. Again, I defy anyone to show me any drill that is just unique to that particular art. You're going to find it, pretty much any drill or flavor of it, it's going to be in other arts. So I'm not big on identifying this art does this well and this one doesn't do that well. All the arts are great, and they all have something to learn. Okay, and basically what I've done, you know, and I don't want to talk too much about this, but what I've done is I've taken what I like from certain arts that make Nihon Goshin better, make it more complete, and fill the holes, because all systems have holes for sure. And I like that, and I adapt those little concepts, and I'm very concept driven, and I bring that in to make my Nihon Goshin better, and my art better. So that being said, the front stance or with the walking punch. So I'm going to get set up. Hopefully I'm not too far off camera. Okay, so some arts show the walking punch, lead foot, lead punch. We are back foot punch. So whatever foot is back, that's the punch that's out. When we make a punch, we're not horizontal, we're not vertical, we're 3/4, and we line up the two big knuckles with the structure of our arm, the forearm, okay? And we aim at our chest level, center of our chest, okay? The other hand is, again, a fist. It's turned upside down and high up on the ribs and cocked back, okay? So, when I do the walking punch, like our traditional straight punch, same idea. When that back foot steps, I don't just step forward, okay? I slide it in. Just like we draw that semicircle in the Hamni walk that I showed you, we're doing the same thing in the walking punch. I like to make sure we have skill sets and motor skills that are cross-platform, okay? So we don't have to learn a lot of 20 different ways to step. I want to make sure that we have a lot of the same concepts within all our patterns, so it becomes a concept again. Okay, so we're here, this slides in and back out, okay? And you want to make sure when you're doing, this is another thing to practice, is taking this step in and out, in and out. So when I step out, back knee locks, and then the other hand punches, okay? So I step, punch, step, punch. Now the turn. The back foot is the only thing that's moving in the beginning. Everything else stays the same. It slides all the way across until I can't slide anymore. From there I pivot, lock the back knee out, punch. Now, a little detail with this. Students always want to do this in the beginning and punch as they're turning. That's not correct. Okay? So if I'm in this position here, I slide across. Think of your body as a tank turret, right? So from here, as it slides across and I turn, the tank turret turns until it finds its target, then it fires, okay? Again, like we talked about with the ceiling over our head, we want to make sure that we don't bob up and down when we're walking. Okay? So that's our basic walking punch. Why do we still teach it? Simply because it does a very, very important thing. It allows the student to learn how to coordinate the lower body with the upper body. Okay? In this case, we're doing a very traditional straight punch, which we typically would not do in a real altercation. Okay? But it does teach us proper structure. It teaches us not to throw the shoulder. It teaches us to stay centered and low. It teaches the student down the road, although they're not understanding right away, that their lower body can do something totally different than the upper body. Okay? Of course, I'm never going to be in a fight and take a stance like this. Okay? We would be in a fighting stance, but when I punch, the same thing holds true. I turn, hit, turn, strike, and I come back. So all those concepts, all those rules come into play even when we're in a combative form, okay? So I always want to make sure I tell the students, I tell you, to combine those concepts into a workable scenario, okay? Okay, so now, that's our front stance, okay? And that's our walking punch that goes along with that. Now the Jigotai is pronounced Jigotai in Japanese. It's a horse stance, and then the Korean arts call it a horse stance. I don't remember the Korean term for it. I should. I did 9 years of Deng Sudo, but it escapes me right now. But it's a horse stance. Okay, people understand the concept of riding a horse. Again, when we teach the horse stance, it is a shoulder width and a half apart, roughly. Again, going back to what I said earlier, if a half an inch over and deeper feels better, great. Half an inch a little shallower feels better, great. As long as it feels comfortable and you can sit there for a while, okay? We're nice and low like we're riding a horse. There's our punch. Again, same thing. Two knuckles lined up with the forearm, shoulders square. We throw that punch. Now, if I do this super slow, this is why I have students do in the beginning, this is like pistons on an engine. This piston comes back as fast as the other one comes up to replace it. And these should turn at the same time. And I like to have the students do it real slow, almost like a Tai Chi move. so they can feel the actual motions and their reciprocal motions at the same time. Okay, so there's our punch. Settling low. After a while, you can get to throw the hips in for more power as well. Okay, so that's the Jigotai with our straight punch. Okay, so now that we covered the basics of the front stance, the walking punch, the Jigotai, along with the straight punch, and all the structure that goes behind it and the rules, let's look at a drill you can do at home that will combine the Hamni walk with the walking punch and the Jigotai stance all together. Okay, so this will be kind of a taking off point. Next video, I want to talk a little bit about some of the FCS Kali footwork. Some of the triangular patterns and how they play into our Aikido footwork. And you'll be surprised to see that it's pretty much the same. Of course, the understanding of it in the beginning is a little different with geometry and all that. But when you start moving things at rapid speed, they become pretty similar to our blending in Aikido, which I was really pleased to find out in my early days of training in Kali. So anyways, we'll talk about that next video. But for this one, I'm going to give you a drill you can do at home. Now this drill is going to require a little bit more real estate. So either move some furniture out of the way for the sake of training, right? If you got time to move the back, go to your garage, go to your backyard, wherever. You'll need a little more space. Now you can do this in a confined space as well. You just won't be able to get the number of reps, I guess, in each direction. But that's okay. Make the best of it. Okay, so again, I've mentioned this before. This is called the Jigotai. In Japanese, it's basically a neutral stance, the standing shoulder width apart slightly, knees bent, hands at sides. It's a neutral ready position. From here, in fact, we're going to start with our hands and our hips, and then we'll take them out after a while. Okay, so hands on hips, just to get that straight up structure. And from here, I'm going to just basically step into a Hamni. Again, I remind you, as you're doing this drill, now's the time, especially during this solo work, look down. If it doesn't feel right, fix it. Stay there a few seconds. Tense your muscles, your calf muscles. Dig your toes and your feet into the ground and tell your body what it feels like to be correct. If you don't do this, I keep telling this, I'll keep telling you over and over. If you don't do it, you're teaching your body bad habits, and they're very hard to get out of. Trust me. Okay? So from here, let's do patterns of 3. Okay? So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Now, from here, I want to go back the other direction. So let's say I want to step off from here into a front stance going back 180 degrees. So this back foot's going to turn in the direction I want my hips to go. That's the secret. You're going to open up your hips. This foot's going to step off into a front stance. And then we're stepping 1, 2, 3. Now let's say I want to do a Jigotai from here. I can step right into a Jigotai. 1, 2, 3. All right, back into a Hamni. 1, 2, 3. Front stance. 1, 2, 3. Going backwards, obviously. Okay, Jigotai. 1, 2, and I can do a whole 360 if I want to back into that. So you can alter that pattern at any time, right? I can start off in a Jigotai, and again I can go 1, 2, 3, any direction, it doesn't matter, nothing's wrong at this point, right? Front stance, 1, 2, 3, Hamni, 1, 2, 3. Go back into a front stance. I can go back the other way using the front foot this time. Turn that foot, open up the hip. 1, 2, 3. Jigotai. 1, 2, 3. So now, doing it with your hands and your hips is great and all, because it makes you focus on the lower part of your body. But what about the hands? What do the hands do? Well, it depends. You can just keep them up, kind of, again, half relaxed position, not fists, so your body relaxes. And you can do the same drill that way, right? Just keep them up. And at least, the only thing you want to try to do, just for now, Although this is not a hard and fast rule, obviously. But as I step, I change my hands. 1, 2, 3. Just so there's a little bit of action going on with the hands, okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Jigotai. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, if you want to make it a little more difficult, throw some punches out there. Okay? So if I'm here in Jigotai, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So it doesn't matter what kind of punch. You can throw elbows in there, right? If I'm here, hands on hips, hands up, whatever. If I'm here, 1, 2, 3. I can throw some elbows in there. And just using this hand for some counter pressure. Well, you're not throwing the shoulder out, okay? Same thing with the front stance, right? Stepping off, 1, 2, 3. I can throw rear elbows in. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Uppercuts or straight up elbows. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so those are just some examples how you could riff on our basic stances, our basic walking and moving drills that we have within Nihon Goshin, and how you can start to combine our traditional Shotokan strikes with some non-traditional boxing or elbow strikes. It could be Muay, Kali, whatever you have at your disposal, not just the arts I mentioned. But you can combine all your own handwork to that. Right? There's so many strikes you can do. It's up to you to make it your own. I'm just kind of coming up with some that top of my head. I haven't really scripted these at all. This is just me stepping in front of a camera and having a basic concept. Again, there's that word concept, and some things I want you to work at home. Just work it slow. If you find yourself going too fast and things are getting sloppy, slow down, right? It's not a race. But if you do this, I don't know, 15 minutes a day, not a lot to ask for. You'll start to move smoother. You'll start to realize that, hey, I can do things with my feet as I do other things with my hands. And that's really where things become interesting, okay? One of the benefits I have derived from training Kali, I've been doing it now, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years, I don't remember. But one day I woke up and I'm like, hey, I'm left-handed, but my right-handed strikes are better than my left now. I wonder why. You know, so you don't have to train in another subsystem to do that, but if you work both sides evenly and you work these basic skill sets and moving and striking as you're moving, you'll start to realize slowly that it'll start to burn into that, not only into your brain, but into your muscle memory. And again, there goes those words again, muscle memory. The only way to get that muscle memory is to work it. There's no other way. There's no other secret. There's no secret to the martial arts, I have found. I know when I walked in and all those years ago, and my instructor back there, Mr. Weber, you know, I thought I would walk up those stairs and sign up and take my lessons and magically everything would be transformed. Well, it wasn't like that. It's a lot of hard work. It takes you walking in through that door every day, or every class that you're supposed to be there for anyways. No matter what's going on in your life that day or that time or that month, and being consistent. That's the key, consistency. And I know now, you know, I'm making these videos, people will watch these years down the road, maybe, who knows. But right now it's relevant because we have this whole, you know, stay-at-home order, and that's why I'm doing these right now. But when we don't have this order, these videos will still be there. And hopefully students walking in, new students, I can have them watch these videos as a great resource, and I'll tell them the same thing. It doesn't matter whether we're under quarantine or not. You still have to practice this stuff. Class is not just 2 or 3 times a week, it's every day, right? Whether you're running drills in your head while you're trying to fall asleep, or you're working them in your bathroom, or in the garage, or before you go to work, or during break. I mean, I worked all these different weird scenarios during my time of training. So again, I'll get off my soapbox, stop preaching. I guess I miss teaching and being on the mat with my students, so I'm going to use this time a little selfishly to teach back to the camera, I guess. Anyways, thank you. We'll do the next video is going to be on maybe an advanced concept of what I just showed you. We'll start working in some other concepts from other arts into Aikido drills, and we'll see where this goes. I'm not really sure. Again, no script. I'm just getting ideas and running with it. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.